Hello everyone, welcome to Living Positive San Antonio. Today is the 32nd Annual World AIDS Day. This year's theme for World AIDS Day is the history and facts about HIV. World AIDS Day is an opportunity for people to come together worldwide. This year it's going to be done virtually, obviously. In order to fight HIV and AIDS, it takes place every year on December 1st, and it was first observed in 1988. World AIDS Day also shows support for people living with HIV, along with remembering those who died from an AIDS-related sickness. It is observed by all members of the United Nations. The first case of HIV was reported in 1981 and was initially common among gay men. According to the World AIDS Day website, there are currently 38 million people worldwide who have the virus, and over 35 million people have died from HIV or AIDS-related diseases. Tonight we're all going to kind of share a story. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be our own personal story or a story of somebody maybe we know that has had AIDS. I'm going to share my own personal story. I was diagnosed in February of 2005, 15 years ago, almost 16 now. I had not been feeling good for days, and finally went to the hospital because I was having some trouble breathing. They did a biopsy on my lung and told me that I had PCP pneumonia. And I was in the hospital for well over a week, recovering from pneumonia, from what I thought was pneumonia. I remember the day the doctor came in. I had been in the hospital at least 6 days, and the doctor said, "We need to discuss how we're going to treat your AIDS." And he specifically used the term AIDS, because when I was diagnosed, I had 27 T cells, and therefore I was considered AIDS. And even today, I'm considered an AIDS patient because I get below the 200 mark of T cells. Matter of fact, I went to see my doctor today, and I have over 950 T cells in my body now. Yay! Very happy for that. Very healthy in terms of T cells anyway. My diabetes is another story. Anyway, it kind of floored me. And the chaplain actually came up to see me, and she was probably one of the sweetest people I've ever met. I was crying, she was soothing me, and she happened to ask if I had any other health issues. I said, "Well, I'm diabetic." And she looked at me very prophetically, as a matter of fact, and said, "I can guarantee you 100% with the advances in medications they've made today that you are going to have 100 times more problems with your diabetes than you are with your HIV." And that has actually turned out to be very, very true. I've only had only one opportunistic infection since I've been diagnosed outside of my pneumonia, and that was shingles. Otherwise, I have had no real issues with my HIV, and that's probably because I adhere to my medication. I may miss a shot of insulin here, I may miss blood pressure medication, but I have never, ever missed a single dose of my HIV medication. And so I strongly urge, if you are HIV positive, take it. Off to you, sir.
First, I want to say thank you to Dr. Bullock that supplied a few of us with masks, and it's got the little ribbon on it. So again, thank you, Dr. Bullock, and thank you to everybody that's here in support. My pet peeve, I'm gonna make it really quick. Today I was watching news and watching other shows, and I really, unless I missed it or wasn't really paying attention, nobody really talked about today. Nobody really talked about World AIDS Day. And I was surprised. It's like, why? Why not? We could talk about Trump all we want. We could talk about Harris, we could talk about Biden, we could talk about all this other stuff that is important or may not be important, but something that is important is World AIDS Day. I've been positive going on 4 years, it'll be in March. He shared his story. I'm gonna share mine real quick. I don't have AIDS, I'm HIV positive though. And I've been positive for going on 4 years. And I had just moved back from Tampa, Florida. I came up here, I was kind of struggling with money, so I was doing the plasma thing because I like more money. So I was going and had already gotten tested, had um, the VA hospital because I'm a veteran. Because I get tested pretty much every 2 months, just because, you know what I'm saying? And I went and did plasma, and I get a call one day when I'm working with one of my clients at the gym, and she goes, "We need to talk to you." I'm like, "Great, probably got syphilis again or some shit." And I do live in San Antonio now, but I went to the plasma center, and she goes, "You're not gonna be able to donate plasma anymore. We red flag you." I'm like, "What the?" She goes, "You're HIV positive." I'm like, I just started arguing with her. Like, I just got tested 2 weeks ago. There's no way that I am positive. I'm gonna sue y'all because I was pissed. It's like, now you're messing with my money. Because I mean, it's easy money. You can make like $400, when you're not positive, in a month, just donating plasma. So I argued with her, I recorded the conversation, I went, I called my prime care doctor at the VA and told her, "Hey, I need to get tested again because this is what they're telling me." And they go, "Well, you're a sister, you're not." It's like, "Can you just run another test?" Because they gave me a specific test that had to be run. It wasn't just like a normal test that they do at the VA or anywhere else. I guess Plasma Center does a specific type of test. I don't remember it because it's been a while back. So they ran it, and then I had to go back to the VA hospital and get checked out, and they had just caught it within like a week or so. So they quickly, I was like, I didn't have time to cry, bitch about it and shit like that. I was just like, "Okay, so what do I gotta do next? Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just need to get on the medication so I don't have to be worried about it." So they put me on medication. Oh, I forgot to say that. Right before all this happened, I was already on PrEP. I was on PrEP 3 weeks. Then I found out that I was on, So I must have caught it right before. So I've been on PrEP. I've been on my medication religiously. Like, if I miss one dosage in the morning and I don't take it till like late at night, I start freaking out. Like, oh my god! It's like I'll be calling the hospital. Like, "Yo, I'm almost out of my pills." Like, "What do you mean? I gotta wait 2 weeks?" "No, I need them now. Give me a bridge." A bridge meaning they'll give you a few till the day you get your medication. So like I said, I'm good. I haven't lost anybody that I know due to AIDS. Now, when I did join one of my groups, me, Mark, I had just joined a group, Beat AIDS, and we started doing the COPA, and had I already met you?
No.
I don't think I met you yet. But Leo was one of the facilitators. And within those couple weeks, we lost somebody, another veteran, due to AIDS, right? I didn't know him personally, like I didn't know him well. I just know he was somebody that I was like, wow. I just met this guy. He seemed like a nice guy. He was always really nice, smiling, beautiful smile. Didn't he have like green eyes? He was a dark Marine. A dark veteran. What I mean by dark veteran, he was black. Usually in the Marines, a dark Marine would be a black guy or somebody dark, or a Marine or just a Mexican Marine or something, stuff like that. But I'm trying to make a joke out of this at the same time too, not to depress myself. But that's the only person I've known that died. So I can't really tell you a lot of what I've gone through. Like, maybe Carlos has lost a lot of friends that did have AIDS or stuff like that. But again, I just want to bitch about it. Like, why are we, other than celebrating life, we need to put it out there more. It's like, we need to talk about this and not make it a hush-hush. We need to talk and say, "Hey, we're here for you." So they won't die of depression. So they won't die alone. We're here for you. I'm here for pretty much all these guys. They could call me anytime, even you, Ben. And we're here to talk, and don't ever feel alone. Right now is the worst time during the holidays. I just found out the news. They weren't talking about AIDS, but they did find an older lady dead in the cold. I mean, right now, what is this? Like in the 30 degrees outside? Like for me, this isn't really cold. I mean, we're not like talking like New York, like -10 or something like that. But, for San Antonio people, this is cold. And for you to be homeless, living outside, that's pretty sad. That has nothing to do with what today's topic is, but that could be any of us. Because both of us do go to SAFE. And I would hate to see one of them, hear about them being passed away because they had nowhere or they had nobody. And I don't want to say they died of AIDS, but for them to die, that's pretty sad. So we just have to be generous, especially at this time, but that's my quick little story. I think I've got 45 seconds left because we're being timed now. Oh, I got 2 minutes, great.
No, 2 seconds.
But again, going back to World AIDS Day, we need to embrace it. We need to acknowledge these people, the family members that we had that we choose not to talk to anymore because they're gay or because they have AIDS or something. Let's not shame them. They feel bad enough as it is. So we need to love each other and go with that. So that's my little spiel. So Mr. Carlos.
Hi. So my name is Carlos, and I'd like to start by thanking my friends who are the board of directors of Living Positive for inviting me to speak tonight. I guess I'm going to tell you my story and how I became HIV positive. I've been living with HIV for 30 years, and this was my 30th year. And it was 1990. I was living in LA, and I've been a lifelong addict, doing crystal meth, and I was really using a lot back in 1990 when I was living in LA. And at the beginning of the epidemic, gay men were getting a cancer called Kaposi sarcoma, which were these lesions that people would get. In my being high all the time, I became paranoid, and I knew that I had been having unsafe sex, so I knew that I probably could have HIV. So I was looking at my knuckles, and they seemed to be darkening. And I said, could this be Kaposi sarcoma? So I decided to call this friend of mine who later became my partner of 10 years. And I called him and I said, Kim, I think I might have HIV. And he said, and he was living in New York. So he said, I'm sending you a ticket via FedEx. And I received the ticket the next day, and I was on a plane the day after that to New York. So I arrived in New York, and he lived about 2 hours outside of New York City. So it was kind of rural. It wasn't New York City, which is very progressive. And if you went in to get an HIV test back in 1990, no one would have looked at you, crooked. No one would have said anything. Okay, let's give you a test. But it was kind of rural New York, and he took me to just the doctor's office. He didn't know anything about it. We just picked a doctor's office to go get a test. So we go in, and the nurse asked, why are you here? And I said, I want to get an HIV test. And I will never forget this because she recoiled, and like all the color drained from her face. I guess she had never dealt with someone who could have been HIV positive or wanted to, or had the information, because ignorance breeds fear. So she was so fearful and which to me stigmatized having HIV even more than it was already stigmatized at that time, because back in 1990 it was a gay disease, and it's happening because gay men are going to hell because they're bad and blah blah blah. So we finally sort of got her to give us the test, and went to see the doctor, and got the test, and it came back negative. But I said I think I have HIV. I wasn't sick or anything. I had always been very proactive about my health, even though I was a drug addict. But I always kept up with what was happening with HIV and whatever else. So I decided, that was in May, and I decided in August to go to what, like Metro Health is here, you know, the city health district or whatever. I got tested, and I was positive. And there was such a big difference of when I got tested at the health department than when I went to that doctor's office. I mean, there they didn't make me feel like I was an outcast or that, you know, oh my God, I don't want to touch you or whatever.
How soon after you first hit it did you get the second test? How soon?
May, and then I went in August, 3 months. Yeah. So as you're converted in those 3 months. I then, you know, they were very good. They referred me to support groups and to therapy and stuff like that. And so all this time, I was living with my friend, which, like I said, we became partners. But after living with him for 6 years, he never told me that he was also, 6 months, not 6 years. He was also HIV positive, but he didn't want to tell me, which is kind of a surprise for me. And he later told me that the reason he didn't tell me is because he didn't want for me to reject him at the beginning of the relationship, which I thought, wow, you know, I would have done that, but because he was HIV positive and maybe I wasn't, and he wanted someone to be with him the day he died, and I was with him for those 10 years. He passed away in 1998 at age 39 from AIDS. So I was there with him at his bedside. But I look back upon those 30 years of having HIV, and I was in a focus group today with students from University of Incarnate Word, and they were asking just members of the LGBTQ plus community about instances of when they have been to a doctor or a medical place and they have been discriminated against, or how they were treated because they were either trans or someone with HIV, or they were gay or lesbian. And so it was interesting. One of the questions that the professor asked me, she says, well, do you think the attitude has changed since the 30 years since 1990? I said, you know, I think it has. There is still a lot of work to be done because there's still a lot of fear out there. And I always say this, people will only learn about HIV is if someone that they know has HIV. If they don't know about anyone that they know, that won't happen to me. I'm not gay, you know, I don't have sex with men, you know, that's what goes on. And so I think we are breaking that barrier little by little but for example, this would have been a great day to bring out information about HIV over and I have bitched about this before, Santiago and Jace. I even, last year, it was on Sunday, and I was watching the Sunday morning news on channel 12 on ABC, and I wrote into Max Massey and I said, are you guys not going to say anything about World AIDS Day? And right before the end of the broadcast, they brought up information from like 5 years ago, but they did say something about World AIDS Day. So I'm really surprised because I also watched this morning and there was nothing on the news. And every year I bitch about it.
Yeah,
that's it.
I find that annoying because they could have at least showed some old videos from last year or the year before,
I mean,
but there was none of that.
Nothing. It's really sad that because there's still all that stigma attached to being HIV.
It'd be nice to think, well, this year it's being overshadowed by COVID. The fact is, the last several years it's been overshadowed by nothing.
Absolutely.
Right.
And what people don't understand is that we are now enduring 2 pandemics because we are part of the epidemic of HIV and now part of the epidemic of COVID. So that's very triggering for a lot of us. And as we know, a lot of people that were clean and sober went back to using this summer, and I'm one of them, and I'm glad to be back. I'm really good. I'm in a great place. I'm really happy to be with you guys. I'm very thankful that you have taken me back. I believe that information is crucial. Talking to people about HIV, the less they fear it, the more they will accept it. And I believe that is our job. Like what you guys do with Living Positive, that's, and I know that I'm still here 30 years afterwards because the damage that I have done to my body, being a drug addict, I also had Hep C. I was co-infected with Hep C from using drugs, and I am still here. And so that is why my aim in life is to talk about HIV and talk about it to as many people as I can.
And it's funny you said that because once I did find out, that's when I wanted to get more involved. I mean, as soon as I found out, I think I just gave myself like a couple months just to, analyze it. It's like, boom. And then I got in the support group. That's how I met Mark. And again, Leo was the facilitator there. And then that's when I met Jace. And then I met Wayne. And I just started meeting everybody. But it's people like you, a long-term survivor, that makes us understand, look, we could be there. You've been, like you said, 30 years. It's like, that's a long time. It's like, I want to get it. And, I welcome you back, but you never left. You've always been part of our group. You've always been part of all these groups. We love you to death. And Mark, you that look like you're talking too much.
Thank you for letting me tell my story.
Yes, sir.
I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, absolutely. And yes, I will be here.
You talk about giving people education. I mean, I think the thing we need to stress now is like, if we are adherent to our medications, people become undetectable.
Absolutely.
And if you're undetectable,
absolutely,
you're untransmittable.
Yes, sir.
And that should be taught to people just to help relieve their fears. Because I still have met people who actually are afraid to let me touch them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they're afraid they're going to get something that they don't want. And the fact is, you can't do it by touching.
Yes.
So. All right, our next group that's going to come up and speak is John and Wayne. Is that correct? Also, at the very end, I think we want to do a moment of silence.
Oh, hi. How are you guys doing? I'm John. So I was first introduced to this group. My best friend had gotten diagnosed, and he needed a support group too. He found this on Google by chance or through a friend or something, I believe. And he was a little nervous, and he asked me to come with him. So we walked right in this room, and from there, I was introduced to beautiful people. And I'm very thankful for that. And from there I just started wanting to know. I started learning little by little more about this. And, as I have had a couple scares myself. I just, gotten more educated on it. And now, I'm really grateful that I'm here to at least be a part of this group. I love so much all of you guys, like family, and so would you like to go?
I think you bring something to the group that you don't realize, being that you, excuse me, you also identify with, addiction issues or alcoholism, and that's a huge thing that you should pat yourself on the back that you bring to the group. So.
And I'm also, so I've been sober. When I first got into this group, I was like a little over a couple months sober, but then I relapsed. But now I've been a little over 2 years sober. So I love the support that we have in this group, and I'd love to talk to you guys or just share maybe. If you guys are thinking you might have a problem with addiction or anything like that, I definitely would love to sit down, chit chat, hang out,
Well, I would say one other thing that you did one time also.
Oh,
that
right.
really did. So back on about John's, I think he was right out about your 2 year. He put something on Facebook, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase it. I don't know exactly what it was, but I like that John wrote, "I'm learning how just for today goes into 2 months, and then now those 2 months I have gone to 2 years." So I thought that was really, a lot of us are question, and I'm one of those that's I don't want to hear it. Day today anymore. So, my name is Wayne Wishes. I'm on the board of directors here also.
Hey Wayne. Hey Wayne.
When?
And I'm going to be really quick. What I'm going to focus my attention on for World AIDS Day is the happiness and celebration of life. And two lives that were really close to me. For many years during the pandemic and stuff, I was first coming out in '88, so I got some of the pandemic. I did lose a lot of acquaintances, and I wouldn't say super, some close friends, but enough that I was knowing several people. But I had two really, really good friends, and they just shaped my life in such a way that I didn't function like that at first. I had a lot of abuse in my family. It turned to where I was really more about me. I had to survive. And the first name, my friend's name is Jeff Macias. When I first had issues coming out, my family did some stuff, disowned me or whatever, and Jeff didn't know me but maybe 3 months. And we had become friends through the drag scene. That was his big thing, and I would help him sew costumes and things like that. And when my parents did what they did to me, he was like, okay, you're coming and living with me. You don't really even know me. No, come on. We went to a competition on state level, and he got first runner-up, and I moved to San Antonio now. And I got real scared. He goes, you're staying here. I'm going to pay the rent for you for 3 months, and I'm going to pay the phone, and I'm going to pay the light, and then you, in that time, figure out to come up to San Antonio. So I had never met anyone like that, but because of Jeff, it has now made me I hope what seems like a very giving and caring person. I truly, when I come across people in need, I like to call myself the Google. I have everything in my bag you can imagine. My bag weighs sometimes 20 pounds, and I wonder why my hip is thrown out of place and stuff. And
That's not because of the bag.
Sorry. And so I just want to, celebrate Jeff's life. When I was in a really bad place, Jeff Macias helped me out. I will never forget him. Second person I want to bring up, his name was Robert Espinosa, and I'm sorry, not Robert Espinosa, Roger Espinosa. And when I lived in before I came to San Antonio, about the same time, I was living in Corpus Christi, and I had been in a car wreck in Austin. I kept, I'm kind of sore, whatever. And so it ended out my appendix had busted. Roger took me to the hospital. Out of all my friends, roommates, everything, he was the only one that came every 2 days or so and would check up on me. And we were in a situation where I was living with a guy that owned a house, and I did not know that it was in foreclosure. And I had been paying rent there for about 6 or 7 months. And we were supposed to be like brother, good friends. And at some point, the electricity went off, the water went off, and he chewed to his boyfriend, sorry, Wayne, you're on your own. And I had 25 staples in my stomach at the time. And it really bothered me. And without anything, Roger and his family were like, no, come on, you're going to come stay with us. Took me in, treated me like I was one of those. And it absolutely kills me because not because of my own being HIV positive. So, I do get mad at myself because I saw everybody that passed on, but it just, Roger, the most loving, caring person that ever helped me. And I think what made me want to be an advocate, I had always wanted to help. I did it in different ways though, through Child Advocacy at San Antonio. But once I was HIV positive, I remember what Roger went through and how wonderful a person he was, and he still gave to the last week he was alive, to where he was walking around and he was so thin that his bones from his buttocks had gone through the skin, and he would walk around with this pillow thing from my surgery, and was still 3 days before he died, he was still over here at the Texas Gay Rodeo, beer pour off, or margarita pour off, or whatever it was, on Sunday, and he passed away on Wednesday. So, I don't know who's going to hear those two names. I would hope that hundreds and hundreds of people see this. I thank God for Jeff and for Roger, and today I celebrate the most wonderful lives that helped shape me to what I am.
I just want to say one thing. I love the fact that, we're not alone. That we can all be together. And I think that's what this group brings. And I'm so happy that I'm here. Even through things like that. If you need somebody to shoulder cry on, I'm here for you. We're all family like that, and I think that's beautiful.
I want to add to that too. I thought I was finished or not. What I should have brought up is all the late lives. Really?
Right.
All the lives that I celebrate now because when I was diagnosed with HIV in 2015, May of 2015, I was so lucky because I never had to go through what I saw other people go through with doctors and nurses and being quarantined on the top floor of a hospital down at the end, making you dress in hazmat, to go down there. I went in and saw a friend like that. But when I was diagnosed with HIV, I absolutely, a world of the most loving people have I now met. And I'm so happy that even at the age 50 or at 47 when I started, I really started making my true friends in life. And I'm so happy that I have the group of friends that I have. And I'm done.
We love you. Next up is Wayne and Leo. Hey, they need to know who's coming to talk next.
I'm Mark.
I'm sorry. Look at Mark and Leo.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Aurelio, but I go by Leo here at Living Positive. I am the Vice President of the Board of Directors, along with Mark here. So just a little bit about me. I recently found out that I was diagnosed in 2015, December 14th, I believe, so my 5-year anniversary is coming up. I thought that I was diagnosed in 2016, but it was actually 2015. So, when I was in high school, I came from a very small town, so the sexual education really just sucked. As everyone knows, the education system in Texas is not up to par. I think we only spent like maybe 1 day on HIV, and I just took sex ed maybe 1 year throughout my entire high school career. So going into college, everyone goes through their slut phase, and so I slept around and living in Dallas, there was plenty of things to do, plenty of people to do, but it wasn't until I moved to San Antonio where a lot of things happened and I started to feel down about who I was as a person. I eventually became a person that was just very sad at how I was and how I looked, and so at any chance that I got to get attention, whether it was sexual or whatever, I jumped at the opportunity. And one day coming home from school, a guy in my apartment complex and I stared at each other for maybe about 5 minutes, and then we both went to our respective apartments. Later on that day, I went back to my car and I saw that there was a note that said, "Hey, I think you're hot. Want to have sex?" And it was much vulgar than that, but I don't want to say what he actually said. So being desperate for attention and for love, I immediately jumped at the opportunity and invited him over maybe a couple days after. Right after our sexual encounter, there was a pit in my stomach that developed, and I knew that I had done something wrong. 3 months later, I got approached by a friend who worked for an agency doing testing, and he had asked if I wanted to get tested to help him. And so I did, and it came back HIV positive. So at that moment, I had already had an inclination that something was wrong within me. I just didn't know what exactly it was. So when that result came out positive, I wasn't as phased as he was. Now, my friend who tested me was kind of like a brother to me, so I think he took it a lot harder than I did. But as soon as that happened, you know, just like Santiago and Carlos said, you know, I jumped at the opportunity to educate myself and to be better. Because I know PrEP was out, you know, a couple years before I was HIV positive, and if I was educated, if, you know, the education system in Texas was as good as it could be, that could have prevented, you know, me from becoming HIV positive. So after my diagnosis, I immediately tried to work at the organization that I got tested at. I worked there for about 4 years, loved every minute of it. As Santiago said, you know, I was in charge of a support group that most of these men were a part of, and it helped to create Living Positive, but it also helped me to accept who I am as a person, how I look, and it helped me to do a lot of things that I never thought I could do. For those that know me, they know that I, you know, constantly tell my story, or that I recently was featured on Greater Than AIDS for their campaign on the healthcare system and how it affects people who are HIV positive. And so for that, I did a photo shoot and I did a video series. And I never thought that I would be doing something like that because, one, I hate taking pictures. I don't find myself very photogenic. And two, you know, doing something that's going to be broadcasted worldwide, that just scared the crap out of me. So I didn't want to do it in the first place. But, you know, I pushed myself to do it, and I'm glad that I did. And then I've been able to go to a plethora of conventions all over the United States, and then just really gain a lot of knowledge about HIV, PrEP, U equals U, and really own my HIV status. I actually met the person who gave me HIV a couple of years after my diagnosis. He was bringing in someone else to the office to get tested, and that person came back positive as well. I did not want to confront him because obviously it was a decision that both of us made. I wasn't the one, you know, I didn't ask for protection, neither did he. So it was kind of 50-50 on our part, but at that point I really didn't care because I already knew who I was with my HIV status. So honestly, you know, for those of you that are out there that may be newly diagnosed or still kind of having doubts about your HIV status, it can be a good thing for you. It really helps get my life turned around and make it a lot better. So, you know, just don't be sad by the fact that you're HIV positive. Being HIV positive is a good thing. We are living a lot longer than most regular people because we're constantly going to the doctor, getting checked. So embrace it. It is not something that defines you. But yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about my story about me being HIV. I'm going to talk about the story how Living Positive San Antonio came about. Quite a few years back, I'm talking quite a few years back, my best friend Roy Miles, he had AIDS, and we discussed about starting a group, and it never came about because about 3 weeks later he passed away, and it just stayed in the back of my head. I think of Roy every single day. I have a picture of him in my bedroom. He's a big part of my life. I'm saying a lot, but Living Positive, going to COPA, meeting Leo, gave me that hope. But I found, in me, myself, I found that there was something else missing. A lot of support groups are only for people living with HIV. And I want to create a support group where people who are negative and who are positive who come together. Their loved ones, their friends, their families, their pets, it doesn't matter, as long as we all can get along. People who are negative could learn about HIV. One day, I was talking to my partner, Gilbert Lopez. He's part of Will on Point here at Living Church. And we discussed it. And we talked to the pastor, Joseph, and we agreed to start Living Positive here at Will on Point. That was about 3 years ago. We're coming to our 4th anniversary here in January of being here, and I was proud of how the group was going before COVID hit. And when COVID hit, things slowed down. It's understanding because people are scared of getting COVID. And so we understand. That's why we go Facebook Live. The doors are open for anybody who wants to come and join us. Everybody's welcome, no matter who you are. But the group was started because of Roy. And part of me always wanted to have Roy's name as part of the group. But I decided not to at the last minute. I decided to go with Living Positive. And then finally changed to Living Positive San Antonio. I do plan in the future to expanding the group to another city. Basically Dallas. And one day it's going to happen. And I really do have faith in it. I love all these guys who are the board, who are here with me. If it wasn't for them, honestly, probably I wouldn't be here. They help me a lot, and they make this group grow as big as it did. And it will keep on growing after COVID's gone. And when will that might be? 6 months, a year, 2 years. We'll still be here. We'll be here for you guys. And I have big support with you guys. And Gilbert, and Joseph, Pastor Joseph, who has supported us by giving us a space where we are today. A lot of people don't know. I'm going to go off the subject a little bit. I'm going to talk about Gilbert for a second. Gilbert been with me for close to 3 years? Close to 3 years. And we just stood up. It was basically my choice. We started dating again recently. And a lot of people don't know that. And it's just something that we decided, well, actually, I brought it up. And we talked about it. Shut up. And so, I've talked to Leo about it, I brought it to Leo. And, but with the support of Gilbert, the support of you guys on my board, the support of everybody who comes to Living Positive, and people who don't show up to Living Positive, who donate money, who donate stuff. Part of the cake today was donated by a friend of mine, who's never been to Living Positive, but he will support. I will never say his name because he's immune diagnosed and he doesn't want to know, and I will respect that. This space is a safe place. Anybody, like I said, is welcome. You can get hold of me at any time of the day or night, and people do. Like you get a hold of Leo, Chase, Santiago, Wayne, even here pretty soon Carlos. We're family. We're not just friends. Living Positive family. The stepchild over there. But we are family. We do have a board meeting that we do have every once in a while. Everybody's welcome to join us anytime. Yesterday and today, this gentleman, I'm not going to say his name, got a hold of me by a flyer from you military place at the yes, VA. He got my name from a flyer from the VA. I've been talking to him yesterday and today. He couldn't make it today, but he's gonna try to make it here pretty soon. He's taking baby steps to come in, and it's okay. I'm not gonna force anybody or rush anybody to come in. You take your time to get here, and the doors will always be open. Basically, that's really it, all I have to say. Anybody else wants to say
Actually, I
anything?
think Benjamin would like to,
You would like?
yeah.
Yeah.
Come up here,
Go up there.
come on, Benjamin, sit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, originally I wasn't gonna come up here, but change of plans. So I was diagnosed in 2018, May of 2018, and I didn't get into treatment until August of 2018. So it was a few months. But if I had ran into the person whom had gave me that, who had gave me this, I feel that I'm a lot stronger today, that I would actually hold myself a lot better than what I would have when I first got diagnosed. I give you a lot of credit for being able to hold your composure and being able to just make it through that. For one, to be able to know the person, that's another thing. Some people don't know, and some people do. But I've went through a lot of changes throughout this whole time, and I went through a lot of support groups. I started off in one support group, which I had met just about everybody here, and then it led to word of mouth to another support group, and then started going to those, and then led to another support group, started going to those, and then just kept on going there, and so on and so forth, and helped me grow and helped me kind of come out of the shell. Still kind of going through my own things right now, still overloaded with stress. Like I said, I wasn't really gonna come up here, but I am almost 22 months clean and sober. And every day, I just thank God that I'm still sober, and every day I'm just grateful that I'm healthy. I have 1,076 T cell counts, so my numbers are doing pretty good. They went up, and I was actually very shocked because for a while there they were kind of low. But I have many things to be grateful for. I have a lot of people that I have met and that I know that have went through a lot worse than what I'm going through, and my heart goes out to every one of them. You know, this is World AIDS Day, and there's a lot of people who have seen a whole nother side to this than what I have, and probably a whole nother side that I probably will never see. And I'm one of the privileged ones. But I just want to say, happy World AIDS Day, and my gratitude goes out to everyone who's helped me and who's been here along the way, the agencies that have helped me, and all the people that's been here, and all the support that I have. Every day has been a new change, and I'm happy with who I'm becoming. I may be stressed out right now, but I'm getting there. I may not be where I want to be yet, but I'm not where I was. So.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Benjamin, for coming up. I know that you said you were very stressed about coming up here, so I'm glad.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what's wrong with me right now.
I'm glad we were able to make you feel comfortable enough to be here.
Thank you.
I think we want to talk about some of the things that are coming up. This Saturday is a bazaar. Yeah, is that right? It's going to be here at Woodlawn.
Yeah, it's a bizarre, sounds weird saying so. It's where we sell crafts, it's a yard sale crafts sale in a sense. This Saturday here at Woodlawn Point.
As a matter of fact, Santiago's gonna have a table there. I believe Wayne's actually gonna be taking care of the table for him. And
Yes.
everything that he makes will be going, I believe, to Blue Positive, is that correct? So, and then on December 11th is the Christmas drag show.
Yeah, Leo, you know more about it, can you make the flyer?
Yes, so December 11th, Woodlawn Point will be hosting a drag show, Christmas drag show, to raise money for
Woodlawn Point.
Woodlawn Point. With COVID and everything going on, not many agencies or people are able to come to Woodlawn Point, and so this is kind of like their fundraising event to help Woodlawn Point itself.
We, Live It Positive, will have a raffle going on. We'll have 4 baskets going on. Will be $1 ticket or 6 for $5. We'll be in front of the auditorium as soon as you walk in. Please support us.
I know we have a wreath. What are the 4 baskets? A wreath?
We have a wreath. We have a Golden Girls basket, a wine basket, and a sky blue basket.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to be raffling.
I think we want to take a quick moment of silence to remember all those who have passed from HIV or AIDS-related issues. So if we take a quick moment.
Yes.
Well, everybody, we want to thank y'all for joining us tonight. If y'all want to share your stories, please share them on our Living Positive page, because, like I said, today is a day of remembrance. We want to remember everybody, whether they have passed or whether they have survived the AIDS epidemic, which is ongoing. I mean, it's not over yet, and we still need to learn more, and we still need to educate others about HIV and AIDS. So, for that, we're going to say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, John Boy.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Mary Ellen.